How you doing? Welcome, welcome. I thought I would just jump on here for a little bit. I've had some interesting questions, really a lot of them based around food lately. And so sometimes when I get a lot of these questions, I thought, hey, why not jump on here, talk a little bit about some things. And honestly, it's like, how are you all doing with the time change? I don't like this time change. I really don't. It's like 5:30 and it like gets to be dark and I feel like I'm supposed to be in bed already. I love late nights. I love summer nights. Summer is my favorite season. Although I love all the seasons. I do. I love winter now more because I live back in California, not in Kansas City. So I know it's hard. So I feel like come on here and do a live so I can stay up. I know it's a struggle. It's like my body is like, what time is it? What is it doing? So anyway, hey, how are you guys? Let me know where you're tuning in from. I never know what you're chiming in from, tuning in from, listening in, where I love to know. We really have, this community is all over the world. It shocks me every time I'm seeing New Zealand and Australia and, oh my gosh, just like all over. In some places I'm like, gosh, you have internet there? And like, I've never even heard of that place on the planet. So it's a lot of fun. So anyway, welcome. It's so great I can't see you, but I can see that your name's coming up. Canada, Toronto, I was there a couple weeks ago. If you saw any of my lives, woo! I mean, I would have liked to stay to visit a little bit longer, but I was really ready to get home after that whole ordeal with getting home from Italy. So I thought, Colorado, welcome Colorado. Are you cold yet or are you still nice weather? Oh, my husband's back in Kansas City, flew back into Kansas City, where his main business is Montana. How about you? How's your weather? But it's cold in Kansas City. He said it was snowing there the other day, and I still have my windows open here, and it was 89 degrees here in Redding today. 89! So it's really nice. Great, you're having nice weather too. I love it. But as fall comes and the holidays, I don't mind a little bit cooler weather. I like to wear my sweaters and my boots and my jeans and stuff like that. I just don't want to be putting on 14,000 layers of clothes and still being freezing cold, if you know what I mean. But some people love that, so that's great. I'm glad there's a place for everybody. So I wanted to just share a couple things. And it's cold. Oh, I'm sorry, but maybe you like the cold. I don't like the cold. Speaking of cold, speaking of warm, this is a great time to be. A lot of people ask, like, what do you eat? What should I eat? And I'm really into, yes, I know I love sweater weather. I love it. I do. But then I like summertime. But I like a variety. So food-wise, let's talk about this because our weather's going to be changing at some point. Some of you, weather's already changed. And I love eating seasonal. Seasonal is really important. A lot of people have asked me, what do I think about, I get asked this all the time. What do I think about the keto? What do I think about paleo? What do I think about intermittent fasting? What do I think about this? What do I think about that? And then it's how do you eat, Andrea? How do you eat? And so I always tell people that I eat, and the other one is what do I think about the eat right for your blood type? So my collective answer to all that, and then I'll kind of break some things down, is I think that there is good things in a lot of different so-called diets or ways to eat, lifestyles of eating, okay? And I don't think it's a one-size-fit-all. I have known a lot of my clients to actually be eating a specific way for various reasons, whether it's because it's the latest thing, whether it's because they're wanting to lose weight and they've noticed that their friends are losing a lot of weight, or they've tried everything else, so they're going to try this one. You know, they go back and forth. But this is, if I can break it down, this is honestly the best way. This is the perfect diet. Do you want to know the perfect diet? I'll give you the perfect diet, okay? First of all, there is no one perfect diet because everybody's different. And if you do find a diet that is perfect for you, I can bet money that diet will not be perfect forever, all right? And the reason why is because we're changing. See, everything around us changes. We change, our environment inside changes, the weather changes, the time changes, different things come into season. You might be changing jobs, you might be now pregnant where you weren't before, you might have a bigger load, a heavier load. I don't mean weight-wise, but maybe weight-wise, but I mean with work, with family. Those are different types of stressors coming in. Maybe the holidays are coming up and you're starting to get revved up and you're starting to get a little overwhelmed, and holiday season for some like this week has already started to kick in. And so there's more pressure, there's more stress. So all of these different factors actually change what's going on inside of us at a cellular level, which then would warrant us to kind of look at what it is that we're eating and how we're managing things so in order to change and to keep up. So the answer is there really is no perfect diet. And if there is for a season, 99.9999% of the time, at some point that will change, because there will be things in your life, in my life, in our health, going on around us, somebody else's health that affects us, that will change. So but if we were to kind of put together a so-called perfect diet, this is how it would look. This is how it looks for me. And if you all want to adopt something like this, awesome, okay? So the first and foremost thing is when people ask me, what kind of diet do I eat or how do I eat? I will always say the number one thing is I eat according to what my cellular health is dictating. How do I do that? Well, I have my doctor in Spain analyze my blood. One of the things that he can see in the blood is the integrity of our guts. What's going on in our bodies? Is our bodies at that time, are we more acidic? Are we less acidic? Do we have more oxygen? Do we have less oxygen? Is the environment favorable? Are there specific foods that we have been eating, but right now they could be causing more acidity, more oxidation? Are we getting enough polyphenols in our diet? Are we burning up more antioxidants because of more stress? Or we're working out more, we're working out differently, we're doing different things, do our bodies absorb? Yep, that's my motto. Test, don't guess. Are you absorbing fats? Does your body break down and metabolize fats? Well, we have found that a lot of people, especially in our Western culture, through these tests, are not digesting and breaking down, metabolizing fats. Well, if you're somebody that's eating a high-fat diet like the keto diet, which I'll mention that in a minute, then if you're not processing fats, then actually that's not a very good protocol and diet for you at this time. Does it mean that it will always be that way? No. So what do we need to do? We would need to heal and seal the gut and the body, get the liver cleansed, do these things, and then we can figure out what's right for you. So some of you, actually, Dr. Helu could tell I was going to bed right after dinner and busted me on that. I'm telling you, man, he will read your mail. Your blood doesn't lie. Like, you can fib to me as your coach. You can maybe not tell me the whole story, but when you get that blood test, you can't hide anything because there's so much life in the blood. Sorry, hold on.
Wild salmon.
Oh yeah, I was listening to a podcast. Hold on, let me turn that off.
Sardine.
Okay, sorry. All right, that's one of my my professors that I have with one of my schools that classes that I'm doing. So anyway, here's the deal. So I always eat according to what my cellular health is doing. For instance, right now, as wonderful as grapefruits are and some other fruits, I actually can't have that right now. There was a time where I actually couldn't even have avocados because they can actually create more acidity in the environment, even though avocados are an amazing food and they are a wonderful plant fat and they have proteins. But when the environment is not favorable for that, it'll actually have a negative reaction. So it's really important, number one, to always, always, always get your blood tested at the level that Dr. Helu does so that we can see specific foods to avoid, other foods that you need to take in. Hey, we've seen, I bet you didn't know this unless you've taken the test. Not everybody, but we have found a significant amount of people in our culture here in the United States actually have a nickel intolerance or a cobalt intolerance. Well, did you know that there are very specific foods that have the natural element of nickel? Things like chocolate, spinach, even your sterling silver. So, so when you're eating those things and that particular element is getting into the body, it's actually creating a stress response in the body that is actually not good for a person. Who would know? Spinach is a good food. Dark chocolate can be a great food to incorporate. But if you are having that sensitivity or that intolerance and you're ingesting specific foods with that in it or eating from stainless steel, cooking in stainless steel, you are then getting more of that nickel into your body, and it's actually creating more of a stress response than it is doing good. Who would know? Well, we know when we test. That's why I'm always about this test. This test is not a cancer test. It's not a Lyme's disease test. It's not we can name any disease. This is a test. It's not a diagnostic tool. This is a test that is actually, what it does is it can see all of the imbalances and abnormalities inside you, magnified 65,000 times. Like, have you ever seen a cell? Like, go online when you are done with me and look up a healthy red blood cell. Look up white blood cells. They both look totally different. But look what it looks like. And within that cell, he can magnify. It looks like a disc. Well, a healthy cell looks like a perfectly round disc with like a hole in the center of the nucleus. But when you can actually magnify that cell 65,000 times, he can see what's going on inside every organ system of the body. He can see what's going inside the cell, outside of the cells, your hydration levels, your oxygen levels. He can see, is the liver toxic? Is there toxemia? Is there congestion? Are there lesions on the liver? Are there lesions on the blood cells? Are you getting oxygen? Are your cells communicating? Listen, we would not be alive today, none of us, if our cells were not communicating. Are your cells dying off and rebuilding the way they are? What's the permeability of the cells? There's so much. So it will also let you know, again, if there's specific foods and drinks, okay? A lot of times people that are drinking fizzy drinks, carbonation, it's really bad. Some for the gut. It can actually eat away the lining, especially if you're having like Coca-Cola products, okay, and soda pop, things like that. But some people, even with fizzy water, carbonated water, for some it's an okay thing. Kombucha, that is considered a fizzy drink, even though there are beneficial properties. Some people, for where their gut is right now, the state of their environment, that would actually not be a good thing if they had some inflammation and irritation and things like that. Does that mean that you can't ever have that? No. So what do? We heal the gut. We seal the gut. We work on the body. We work on the cells. We work on cellular health. We retest it when it needs to. And then we see if those particular foods are appropriate. Now, there are foods that are just black and white. I talk about it in my book, How I Beat Cancer. They're very specific foods and chemicals that we can put into our body that just wreak havoc no matter what. Number one, obviously, is sugar. And sugar can be in so many different forms, and it can be written in so many different ways because marketing is amazing, isn't it? So, back to how I eat, and this would be what I do. So number one is we do Dr. Healu's test to see the integrity of the system on the inside, to see if what imbalances and abnormalities, what's going on in the gut, what's going on in every organ system of the body, from the brain to the tips of your toes, all right? And then from there, so people have asked me, what do I think about keto? What do I think about blood type? What do I think about paleo? What do I think about vegetarian? Well, depending on what's right for you, every person is different. The keto diet is fascinating because truly the absolute true keto diet is actually a medicinal diet. It's actually designed specifically. It was designed actually specifically for cancer patients. Now, does all cancers react well to keto? Not necessarily, because we don't know what the environment of that person's body's like. Dr. Helu did a study. Actually, it's a written paper, which I'm going to get my hands on because it's actually been published here in the United States. He did two specific ones, but one was with 5 women, 5 breast cancers, all the same breast cancer, but all 5 of them, environment was different and how that cancer came to be. So here's the thing. This is why we're always talking about it's so important to get to the root cause of why the body is creating imbalances and abnormalities. And not every person's the same. So how I wound up getting cervical cancer, it could be very different how somebody else got cervical cancer, even though we had the same type of cancer. It could be colon cancer, it can be prostate cancer, it could be lung cancer, it could be brain, whatever it is. So it's so important that we know what's happening inside of us. When we are being treated, okay, when people are being treated, whether that's by medical doctors that are integrative doctors, naturopaths, health coaches, not that we don't treat, but if we're coaching, if we're helping with lifestyle type of things, if we're only going by a book that you open up and say, oh, well, we'll just do this because this is what the majority has done and this is what we've seen. We can't do that. The success rate is very low and it's very disappointing. And if it might work in the beginning, in the end, eventually it's not going to work in the long term because every person is individual and every person's imbalances and abnormalities are different. You may have the same imbalances and abnormalities, but how they got there is the key. And how we find that out is through this test. By magnifying the blood 65,000 times. People will ask, why doesn't Dr. Helu need to have a lot of blood? Why don't we need to draw 10 vials of blood? Because he's looking under a microscope. When you look under a microscope, you only need a couple drops of blood. Isn't that fantastic? You get to do it at home. It comes to your house. So then, once we do that test, we find out specific foods. It's not a food allergy test, so to speak. We do have those if we need it. Because a lot of times, Dr. Helu can find that somebody would have multiple food intolerances. But that doesn't mean that you're intolerant to those specific foods for the rest of your life. It just means that where you are right now, the environment that has been created in the body, for whatever reason, those particular foods are not conducive for you. And we want to make sure, listen, you have 2 options. We're either putting life into the body or we're putting death into the body. You have 2 things because one is either for the body or one is against the body. That has to do with food. It has to do with thoughts. It has to do with toxins, the things that we're putting on our body, the things that we're lathering on our skins, washing our hairs with, putting on our nails. We use healthy nail polish. By the way, I love this company. It's called Sundays_Studios. You can find them on Instagram. You can go to their website. I love their polish. It's amazing. And they have so many different colors. So anyway, that was just a little side note. So air we breathe, things like that. So there's so many things that will determine what's going on the gut, in the body, in the cells. So we do the test. Then from there, I begin to formulate a plan. I would formulate a plan for you. And we would find out more. If you're somebody that's not metabolizing fat, well, I'm not going to put you on a high-fat protocol at all right? We are going to incorporate healthy fats, and I'm going to teach you how to choose the best of fats, what type of fats work, the best way to use fats. Some fats are not good to be cooked on high heat. Others are. So how do we do that? So we help you formulate that. If you're if you are somebody that has cancer, one of the things is you don't want to have a lot of high protein, because if you have an overabundance of protein, then that protein will convert later to sugars. Sugar is the number one feeder of cancer. So we want to make sure you're having just the right proportion. We want to make sure your omega levels are where they need to be. He can see if your omegas are off. Those are very important to the life of your cells and to your body, to your brain, all of those things. We want to make sure the ratios are good. And all of this seems overwhelming, but here's the great thing. We're trained in all this, and we do this all day long, that we get to work with these tests that we get, and we can formulate it, we can put it together and say, here you go. And here's your shopping list, So we do those things. But this is something you can begin to, as you're trying to figure out, what should I eat? What's the best diet? This time of year, if you live in a warmer climate like I do, even all year, even though it will get cooler here, eating more raw foods is okay for the body. It's not bad. For some of you that live in colder climates on the East Coast or different parts of the world where I'm having my summer, you're having your winter, or vice versa. And we have clients all over the world, all different types of climates and all different types of cultures and foods that we get to work with. It's so much fun because it stretches us and we grow, and we just love helping and being creative. But if you're in a more colder climate as you're coming up, then having more foods that are cooked, I'm talking about like plant-based stuff, so vegetables and things like that, having a little bit warmer. It doesn't have to be cooked until it's dead, but maybe a little bit boiled, blanched, parboiled, things like that, so that when it goes in the digestive system, your body doesn't have to work so hard and expend so much energy to be able to digest, process, assimilate, excrete, all of that. So it's very important that our bodies are digesting properly. And if the liver's clogged, if there's lesions on the liver, if the cells aren't communicating, if the gut is irritable, if the lining of the gut isn't right, if your elimination channels aren't open, all of these things and foods can affect it. So you're in Australia, my husband has a rare cancer. How would follow-up work when we are so far away? Well, this is why, just like you're communicating with me right now, this is what we do. We do FaceTime, we do Skype, conference calls, we do. I mean, I've done consults from Egypt, Norway, in your area, Australia, Dubai, Israel, all over. So the great thing about it is that although our main doctor is in Spain and I'm here in the United States and you're in Australia, technology is phenomenal, and we work together. We work all together, which is amazing in the way it should be, so everybody's on the same page. So your protocol, your treatment plan, whatever it is that you're doing, it's not getting mixed up here and there and you have different ideas. Everybody's integrating together, working together to formulate the best plan for you, for your husband. And so what I would say is, the first thing is, you can go on the website, AndreaThompson.org, and you can order the test on there. That's where it is. And I'll talk really quickly about that, and then I'll get back to the foods, because the food stuff's, it's fun, but the test is fun. Somebody messaged me today and said, I ordered the test, but I'm scared. And I'm telling you, as somebody who was diagnosed with cervical cancer back in 2012 and who overcame it in 90 days and was given a year to live, it's been 7 years. I'm here to tell you that test is actually probably the most hope-filled test that you'll ever take, because if we just are scared and we never do anything about it, or we never find things out, the body doesn't care. The body's going to keep being imbalanced and have abnormalities, and it's going to do whatever it takes to survive. But with that being said, you can still be creating these imbalances and abnormalities, and when those go left undone, that's when disease of the body, sets in. For people, it's different. For me, it was cancer. For somebody else, it could be Alzheimer's. For somebody else, it could be an autoimmune. For somebody else, it could be chronic headaches, or, so many, fibromyalgia, whatever. But the thing is when you get the test and you do the test, it is, I would have to say, it's the most empowering test that you can get, because you now have the answers to everything that has been going on and why, and then a treatment and a protocol plan put together. So now you can actually go in and begin to reverse all of that. So thanks, Andrea. Very helpful. What a blessing you are. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So we just need to change the mindset. We've become so fear-based and so scared of disease. And I understand why, because we don't know any different. Speaking for me, of course, you're told you're going to die in a year. Yeah, I was scared. I was scared to death. And I'll tell you, the first two things that came to my mind, one was the thought of dying, and two, honestly, was the thought of losing my hair. I'm pretty sure that the thought of losing my hair came first. Because I knew that if I died and I went to heaven and I'm going to be with Jesus, it didn't matter what my hair looked like. But the thought of losing my hair, that was a tough one for me. But that was me personally. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest with you. But when you start to learn and understand and begin to be educated by the leading cellular biologists and the top doctors in the world that say, no, actually, disease is not a death sentence. Cancer does not have to be a death sentence. In fact, it's one of the most simplest things to overcome. But we live in a world where when we see cancer or hear cancer, we know that it has become a deadly disease, because those that are treating us only know what they know. They've only been taught what they know. But when we have medical doctors and cellular biologists that have gone above and beyond and said, no, we aren't okay with this, because we know that the body was designed to heal. God did not create the body to be full of disease. It did not create it to die early. It did not create it to malfunction. It created it to be life-giving. It created to be healed. So when these assaults are coming at us, whether it's environmental assaults, physical assaults from food, toxic assaults, any of those things, if we can find out the causes, move that interference, move those things out of the way, heal those imbalances and abnormalities, then we don't have to deal with disease. We don't have to. So, you got your test results today, but he didn't say whether he saw cancer cells still in the blood. Okay, so I haven't seen your test, so I don't know. I would have to see it. But I need you to understand something. Dr. Helu is not about seeing a name of a disease. He has seen morphologies and pathologies that have no name or origin, that are far more severe than cancers, believe it or not. So, what he sees is the imbalances and abnormalities of what is present in the body, what has taken place in the past, and what has the potential to happen 1, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years down the line. So, if you're looking to see if Dr. Helu's going to say you have cancer, I'm going to tell you something. Here's the facts. They're hard facts, so have some tough shoulders if you're listening, okay? The only doctor that is legally able to say you have cancer is an oncologist, okay? Can Dr. Helu see it? You betcha. And that's why he's put a protocol and treatment plan for people if he sees it specifically designed biochemically for cancer. Now, with that being said, with an oncologist, legally only allowed to be the one to say you have cancer. Over 50% of the time, they are misdiagnosing, or they're not completely diagnosing, or they haven't found everything, or they're telling how they're going to treat it in a way that's wrong. Over 50% of the time, they are wrong. That's statistically proven fact. In order for them to even say you have cancer, there has to be specific tests that they have to do, meaning diagnostic tests, specific cancer markers, PET scans, CT scans, specific MRIs, things like that, okay? And they have to have a very, very clear, to some degree, in order for them to say it. But over 50% of the time, they're misdiagnosing, they're mistreating. I'm not saying it's because they're bad doctors. I'm not saying that it's because they're maliciously doing that. I'm saying this because this is the God's honest truth and what happens. And the reason why people like Dr. Helu, doctors like Dr. Helu, there's specific things they will not say is because they don't carry the license to kill. Okay? Only certain doctors have the license to kill. Many don't. So, it would not be to other doctors' advantages to say one way or another. But, with that being said, Dr. Helu can find everything and anything that is in balance. All cancer, all disease, whatever, that's heavy. That's heavy. If you heard me, that's heavy. But I'm so tired. I am so tired. I cannot tell you how many people every single day. There's so many people. I've had to hire several people just to answer questions and answer people that email us who are in desperate need because they have been told they're going to die, or there's nothing else they can do, or they have this disease, that disease, and they need help. I am so tired of watching families be broken up because a mom, a dad, a child has died when they didn't have to die. I can't take it anymore. So if that means that I have to say the hard things, the hard truths, then I'm going to say it. It's not to upset you. It's not to say your doctor's mean and wrong and he's out to kill you. That's not what I'm saying. But let's just say what it is. There are certain doctors that have been given a license to kill. Because are they in prison and jail when 1 out of 3 women are being diagnosed with cancer and 1 out of 2 men are being diagnosed with cancer and 43 to 46 children every single day are being diagnosed with cancer? And when their success rate is like this, we're talking like 0.01%. And over the 50 years that they have known about cancers and have been so-called raising money and bringing and raising awareness, you know what? Awareness to me, all that means is that they're bringing awareness to something that has already happened. That's not prevention. Awareness is not prevention. Prevention is you put action to it and you change it. You change the system. If cancer success has not changed in the last 50 years and we're raising millions and millions and billions of dollars to do something about research, and oh my gosh, it's amazing to me. All the money that is raised for children's cancers, all the money, less than a third of that is actually going to research for children's cancers. And I'm sure I'm going to hear about it now. But I'm telling you, we have got to expose this because people are dying, people are sick, people are hurting, people are depressed, people are losing out on life, and this is not the plan of God. So we are here. There is a group of us. There are people rising up to expose what's happening, to expose this corruption. And it's not about us taking on the corruption. It's about us raising up the original medical model that God created originally with original medicine that the body knows, that the body understands, that the body responds to in a way that is life-giving. You cannot build the body up and destroy it at the same time. I'm sorry. It is not physiologically possible. And I have enough medical background and schooling to know how this works. So you cannot build the body up. You cannot introduce all kinds of poison in the body and expect your body to be able to fight, and build up. At some point, the body's got to go, whoa, I'm doing all that I can here. And I'm at a place now, I'm at a breaking point. That's what imbalances and abnormalities are, folks. It's signals, it's messages in your body. Your body is so amazing. And it's saying, I have these signals, I have these messages, I'm communicating with you that what you've been feeling, what is happening, this doesn't feel right, this isn't normal, and I need your help. I need your attention. I need your attention. And so what we do is we go through these very specific ways. I am tired. We are not designed to live within normal limits. I am not having my blood done so that I can be measured and within normal limits of sick people. That's what complete blood panels are. There are times, let me say this, there are times when specific markers are warranted. I get that. But they coincide along with the analysis that Dr. Helu has done where he's seeing things. I remember hearing him say, people have gone to him for cancers, and he has found cancers in other parts of the body that those oncologists, that those PET scans, those CT scans, those other doctors never found. And if they only treated that one area, which cancer is systemic, it's in the blood. Cancer it's like listen, if it's systemic and it's multifaceted, you have to get to the root cause. Chemo, radiation, even if you start doing IV vitamin C drips, if you start doing a bunch of detoxes, if you have not gotten to the root cause of why your body created that cancer or disease in the first place, it doesn't matter what you do. You have to get to the root cause of everything. And once you get there, that is when you can be starting to overcome. You can overcome. You can overcome. You can overcome in life and health. But when you're destroying the body and tearing it down and hoping to God that they can build it back up, that is a risk. It's a risk that everybody has to decide to take. I am never one to say, nor I don't condemn, I don't judge. I no shaming on people that have done however they've chosen to do their treatment. What I'm thankful for is that when that has not worked, and the integrity of the tissue is still intact enough that we can come in and help you and give you the correct care that you need, I think it's the greatest thing in the world. The greatest thing in the world. I've had people that have been some of my greatest adversaries and have mocked me for years. And as soon as they've had cancer and what they've done didn't work, I'm the first person they call, and I am so happy to be able to help them because that's all it's about. So, back to diets. Sorry, I got off on a tangent, but I'm not okay with people being sick and tired and sick and ill and sick and dying. Are you? I'm not. And so, we are doing phenomenal things. Please save this so I can show... Yes, I will save it. I will save it. Yes, I promise I will. So, here's the thing. There are 4, I talk about this all the time. I'm going to go back to cancer for a second, okay? Because this is obviously a huge thing. There are 4 main pillars, but now we have a 5th. It's like the perfect storm. These things have to take place in the body in order for cancer to survive and grow, okay? One is diet. All right, so we know that there's very specific things that feed cancer. So the first thing is like you find out why the body created the cancer. The second thing is you need to stop feeding the cancer. In order to kill something, you have to starve it. All right, and our programs teach you that. We teach you that. We educate you. We teach you what's in what food, how to do that. We help design it for you. I mean, yes, it takes work, but here's the thing. Why do you want to be well? Why do you not want to die from cancer? And that's what I talk about in my book, I Am Resilient. I have a whole chapter dedicated on your why, knowing your why. Because when you get so sick and tired, when you get angry, when you get frustrated, when you get lonely, when you get depressed, when you get anxiety, when you have fear, and whatever it is you're doing, maybe it is something like every day I'm dealing with chronic fatigue, tiredness, fatigue. What is your why? What is it that's going to motivate you to keep going? Because when I had to juice 13 times a day for the first 2 years, when I had to do 8 coffee enemas every single day for almost 2 years, when I lived and breathed keeping myself alive. And there were times where I'm like, I'm tired, man. I'm tired. And I had to tap into my why. Why did I want to be alive? And I started going through the list, and I would write it down, and I would put it in my purse, and I would put it on my mirror in the bathroom, and I would put it in the car, and I put it on the refrigerator, and I had a book, and I wrote it out, and I just put it on the wall. And because there are times when you need to know your why. You always should know your why. It doesn't have to be profound. I wanted my hair, okay? That was one of my whys. I didn't want to die. I wanted to be able to see my children. I wanted my kids to have their mom. I wanted to be able to see my kids and have their children. I wanted to be a grandma. And one of my whys is now being fulfilled because I now have a grandson, my first grandson. He's going to be 7 months, and I'm alive for that. Because I was never intended to die from cancer. You were never intended to die from cancer or any other disease or imbalance or abnormality, to be miserable the rest of your life. You weren't. You were created for more than where you are right now. And you need to know that, and you need to believe that. And if you don't believe it, just keep saying it, because everything else will catch up. Trust me, it'll all catch up. So the 4 things, diet, that's important, so we go through that. The second thing is contamination. So that's toxicity. That's environmental toxicity. It's physical toxicity, food toxicity, thought toxicity, emotional toxicity. All of these things attribute to cancers and disease. Number 3 is genetics. But here's the cool thing about genetics. Genetics is a very small portion. 98% of all disease is lifestyle. 98%. Only 2% of it is actually genetic. But here's the thing. We know so much about genes. We know that genes express themselves in the environment that they live in. So for me, when I had cancer, there was an environment created for cancer to live. So what do? It's the easiest solution. You create an environment that's not conducive for cancer or any other disease to survive. That's what you do. You recreate the environment, and then it becomes a lifestyle. So even if genetically it's 2%, those genes still express themselves. That doesn't mean just because you inherited a gene that has an expression for breast cancer or an expression for Alzheimer's or an expression for autoimmune, does not mean it has to be turned on. And now that we know that and we have special testing for that, we can help you with that. And then the 4th thing, okay, so you have diet, you have contamination, and you have genetics, and then you have stress. And that's environmental stress again. That's toxicity overload. That's mental stress, emotional stress. That's everything. It could even be good stress. But stress is stress, and the body reacts to stress. And Dr. Helu told me this, and I found this fascinating. Diet, contamination, and genetics are 3 variables with everybody. Those can change. The one thing, stress, everybody has that control over that. And it's the number one thing that he sees in 99.999% of all patients that come to him that have cancer, is that is the one thing that has not been dealt with. And emotions. He can see jealousy in the blood, bitterness, anger, resentment. I mean, this is biblical stuff here. And you can see it in the blood. And when those things go undealt with, over time, those imbalances of those emotions will turn into dis-ease. It will manifest physically into the body. Different for everybody, but it has the potential to manifest in a person's body in a very negative way. And then you have microbes. That's going to be the fifth thing that we're really going to work on. And that's, the gut microbe, the things. That's why we say, do not go barefoot on a porous floor. Do not, do not, do not. You're talking to somebody who's a 3rd-degree black belt, and all we do is work out in bare feet. But on porcelain, tile, marble, concrete, don't have bare feet. Anything that's porous. Those microbes get into the body. You will see, if you're somebody that deals with UTIs, bladder infections, things like that, see how many times you walk barefoot. Are you someone that walks barefoot a lot? Because I always thought it was a European thing. My naturopathic doctor and Dr. Helu, they're all from Europe. I'm like, is this like a European thing that they say don't go barefoot? No, it's actually a real thing. So it has been shown that more women will get UTIs, bladder infections, yeast infections, if they go barefoot more than most. So wear shoes on concrete, on marble, tile, things like that. Where do you walk barefoot? When you're grounding, in the grass, on the sand, in the mud, in the dirt. Those kind of things. Those are negative charges. Those help, those runaway positive charges that are going through our body, and we can ground with that, with those negative ion charges to help bring the body down. You've got to get to, this is why it's so important to get to the root cause of everything. All these other tests, although they are important, they're not 100% accurate. And over 50% of the time, they're inaccurate. And that's why I am so for the blood test that Dr. Helus does, because it's 100% accurate. And I don't know of any other test on the planet that is 100% accurate. I don't know of any. Not yet. And not only that, Dr. Helu, the average person, so there are people that do live blood analysis. Actually, his is technically not even a live blood analysis. It's a special smear test. It's not the one using like the dark imagery that some people use here. Those tests here in the United States, they have some live blood analysis. They run you an average of $5,000 to $20,000 to get the test done, with no protocols and treatment plans. They can see an average of 11 different pathogens, morphologies, things, imbalances, abnormalities going on in the body. Dr. Helu's test is $430. $430. You get your results, you get a treatment plan, you get home protocols, you get recommendations, lifestyles, diet, vitamin deficient, anything for supplements that you need, anything, emotional lifestyle things, specific things going on, everything for $430. And he can see over 860 different pathogens, morphologies. Over 860 compared to the 8 to 11. That's going to run you $5,000 to $20,000, or you can get Dr. Helu's test for $430 and have everything tested. You don't have enough going on in your body to even have over 800. I don't care who you are. I mean, it's amazing. So, here's some other things. So those things are important. When diet, contamination, genetics, which is a small part, only 2%, and stress go undone, and you think about how long cancer was in my body, 10 to 30 years before it had developed. Maybe it's pre-cancer. Maybe for some of you, he can see the pre-cancer. So he's going to do things for your body so it doesn't turn into cancer. All right? Stress is a big culprit of disease, people. So that's actually going to be my next book that I'm working on, that I'm writing by my own self. But I am working with Dr. Helu on a new book that's going to be released in the spring next year. Anyway, so health-wise, food-wise, what's the best for you? Get the test done. Eat seasonally. Do I love the eat right for your blood type? I really like it, yes, but there are things on there once you get the test. If there's things on there that are not actually conducive for you to have right now for whatever reason, then what you would do is you would take the eat right for your blood type, and you would, just kind of scratch off the things that you couldn't have and stick to the more beneficial, neutral list. Okay, so the beneficials are, and then the avoids. Stay on the voids. And I think it's great because if you actually looked at that list, you could probably see things that are on your avoid list for your blood type that actually you don't feel well after you eat it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is really true. So I use that as a tool. It's not the one diet I look at. See, because I'm seeing what all the variables are. I'm seeing everything that's going on in your blood, so that I know how to formulate. And our team, our health instructors, formulate a plan that's specifically for you. So we take all the guesswork out of it for you, and we help you with that, okay? Or you can do it on your own. I mean, I'm all for, you all need to be great advocates and learn how to do this, so more power to you, okay? But if you need our help getting started, does he tell you what no, he doesn't tell you what blood type you are. But here's the thing. You can actually go online and you can purchase a blood type test. It's a simple prick of the finger, just like all these, and you'll get it like within 60 to 90 seconds. You don't have to go to the doctors, have them draw vials of blood, spend $200 to $300 to find out your blood type. You can go online, purchase a test, and it will let you know your blood type right then. Easy peasy. I'm an AB, so I use that. Have I been on the keto before? Yes, I have, in my early stages of cancer. But I knew for my blood type that I metabolized fat very well. And for where I was and where I was with the cancer, that actually was a good protocol. But it wasn't all fully keto either. I wasn't like full on keto diet is when you are in ketosis, okay? Like a little bit here and there. So I adapted some of those things from the keto. Doesn't mean I was a keto diet, because I was juicing 13 times a day, and one of my juices was a quarter of a green apple and carrots and celery. Well, there's sugar in that, but natural sugars. But the anti-cancer properties, the fighting cancer with that is just unbelievable. So we see you're a slow oxidator. Okay, that's another thing. So we see in the blood, so many of you are going out and you're writing into me, I'm doing this ozone treatment and I'm doing this because it's this, and I'm going here and going there. Well, what if your body doesn't need that? What if we could actually have a body that can chemically, when you introduce those things, instead of working for you, it can actually do the opposite and oxidate you as opposed to oxygenate you. So we need to see what's going on inside of your body to know what you need. Maybe you do need that. I mean, even when I was there in Spain a few weeks ago, they actually tested to make sure that ozone this time around was actually good for me, to make sure it wouldn't oxidize my body, and it didn't. So of course I had ozone treatment, and then the different types and how to administer it properly. So we're doing all of these things, which I'm not saying are bad things, but don't you want to actually know what you really need to do? Then you can spend your energy, your time, your money on what you actually do need, as opposed to the things that you may not need. So we work with budgets, we work with everything, but we want to work with what your body is dictating at the time. You get a new blood supply every 4 months, nothing sooner than that. So everybody's different. He lets you know when you need to be retested. Some people, it could be 8 months, 12 months. For me, it's 4 months, 4 months, 4 months, 4 months. I got 6 months, but 4 months, which is great. Actually, I get excited. I love okay. How many people do you know that have had cancer that could honestly say, I love my treatments. I can't wait to get them. I can't wait to get my blood work done because it's so empowering, and I can't wait to see how my body's responding. If that's not empowering and full of hope, I don't know what is. I don't know how many people say, I can't wait to go get more chemo. I can't wait to go get my blood drawn because I'm so excited to see what's going on. But when you are in the hands of somebody that is the leading cellular biologist in the world, who has a success rate with disease that's Lyme's disease, as he said on the live, was literally 100% success rate. Cancers, over 97% success rates. I mean, truly, if the tissues and, the integrity of the tissues there, and you follow the protocol, that's the second thing. You have to follow what he says or it doesn't work. But if you follow the protocol to a T, it will work. And so I love it, because I know that I know that I know I'm not afraid anymore. I have no fear of cancer. I have no fear of any disease because I know how simple it is to overcome when I have the right doctors looking at my blood and analyzing me and paying attention to me and giving me everything I need every time that's being analyzed. And I do my part and to follow through. So, I wanted to give you some lower glycemic fruit. Some of you have been asking me about that. So this is, I'm a lot of times like, when you have cancer and things like that, it's like sugar's out, man, sugar's out, sugar's out. And even for a while, it was like, except for the juices that I did, there was nothing. I think after the second year, then I added in some berries, even though those are on the lower glycemic. Fruit that tend to have skin on them that you can actually eat tend to be lower on the glycemic index. So things like apples, they have a skin, not bananas, that's a different skin. But lower glycemic fruits, blueberries, all your berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and those are polyphenols. Those are high in antioxidants, very, very good for the body. Cranberries, cherries, strawberries, kiwis, green apples. Those are all on the lower glycemic index. Moderate glycemic, so they have a little bit more. Those would be other apples that are everything other than green. So all your red apples, oranges, and grapefruit. They're higher in. And then the highest glycemic, which, if you're somebody that's wanting to lose weight, if you're somebody that's on borderline being diabetic, or you are, obviously you should know your protocol by now, or if you have cancers, autoimmune disease, things that, anything that would bring in, that you need to reduce inflammation and not have a higher amount of inflammation. These are ones that you'd want to stay away from: watermelon, mangoes, papayas, pineapple, and bananas. And then good fats. People want to know what good fats are. So all of your plant oils, plant fats are very, very good for you. So avocado oil, coconut oils, olive oils, seed oils, nut oils, those are all really good. The thing about it is you don't want to heat those at high heat. We do not, you can do avocado oil, coconut oil at high heat, some of the nuts. Seeds, I wouldn't do. And then olive oil, you do not want to cook with a high heat, people. I know a lot of us have cooked with olive oil for years. So low heat for olive oil. You can go low to medium, but if I say medium, you're going to go high. So stick to low heat, or you cook your food and then you can drizzle the olive oil on after. But use the other ones to cook for high heat, because otherwise that olive oil turns rancid and then it has cancer-causing properties in it. So you don't want to do that. But olive oil all day long is so good for the body. Great healthy fats. We also, though, want to make sure that you're somebody that can metabolize fat. If you're not, then we want to stick to like 1 to 3 tablespoons max, 1 to 2 tablespoons max, unless you're doing the Budwig protocol using flaxseed oil and binding that with the cottage cheese, which is a different protocol, part of a cancer protocol. But anyway, so coconut and olive oil, just please, I always make sure you get organic. Always, always, always look for organic. You can do the Dirty 12 and the Clean 15. I do have a list here of, so you can go online and you can get that. I'll see if we can put this on. I don't know how much time I have left here, and I do want to make sure. And then I was also going to talk about fish and the different types of fish and what fish is good, what's not, but I only have a minute left. And if I want to save this, because you guys want me to, then I'll have to end this. So I hope this was helpful to you. Please, please go on my website, AndreaThompson.org. I have free PDFs on so many things, from what's in the blood, what the blood test is about, to weight loss, to chronic fatigue, to stress, to I don't know what the hell's wrong with me, but I don't feel right. To all those things, to blog posts. I send out a blog every Thursday. You can sign up for that. You can go look at all of them. We break them into 3 categories. You can check out my new book, How I Beat Cancer, and I Am Resilient, because you are resilient. And the How I Beat Cancer is not necessarily just for somebody who has cancer. If you never want to have cancer and you want to be preventative in your health, it's a great book. I outline the 5 keys of renewing your mind, mind, your nervous system, nutrition, the toxicity levels, and oxygen. So, and how important it is to be moving and what that means, because cancer cannot survive in an oxygenated environment. Disease needs, specific in a specific environment. We can change that around. So AndreaThompson.org. Please share this. Please share this with your family. Share this on Instagram. We need to get the word out. It's time for people to get well, and there is a plan. There is a solution for lasting transformation, and that's what we're here. But I am one voice. But if you can share these things, then we can spread this word, and we can make a difference, because I am going to see the United States health system changed in Jesus' name before I die. I love you all. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.